How's it going, Bat Family? Today, we need to talk about something which you can't talk too much about, but of course I was going to make a video about it. But also, just to let you know, this isn't a dragged out video analyzing that little teaser we got yesterday. This video is also including a few questions for the Batman discussion series. A lot of you are very familiar with that around here. If you are brand new, what we do is I ask you guys to engage with me. I screenshot your comments, your questions, your theories, anything to do with the upcoming The Batman movie, and we just have a massive nerd out, geek out session, keeping that hype alive. But talking about keeping that hype alive, guys, yesterday was Batman Day. Batman Day, I'm getting chills already, and I, Boba, was waiting all day like this, feeling very anxious with my coffee, just coffee after coffee. No, but I think a lot of us are experiencing the same thing yesterday. And Matt Reeves has tweeted, I think, quite a lot on every Batman Day. Not a lot, but what I mean is, he's always never failed to put something out. Last year, he was like, Happy Batman Day, and it wasn't so much pertaining to the movie because it was still in production back then. But I was like, this year, the movie's in the editing phase. It's Batman Day. Well, he is the director for the Batman movie. How can he not put anything out? And we waited and we waited. And, you know, I'm in the UK, so I was like, okay, of course, it's going to get to the point where he's like 6 to 8 hours behind me. And it's going to be like 11 p.m. where I'm kind of unwinding, you know, not really wanting to make a video kind of thing. And then it will come out. And lo and behold, it did. And Matt Reeves tweeted quite late. And this is the tweet. And we're about to break this down. It's nothing too in-depth to get into. But also Michael Giacchino has also unveiled a little bit more of an extended look at the main theme for the Batman. It's got a few different sounds to it. It's much kind of higher pitched. It's very roaring. And I'm sure I put that at the beginning of this video if it wasn't copyrighted. Maybe it was. I don't know. But Matt Reeves, Mr. Matt Reeves, everyone was wondering where the heck you were yesterday. And he says, well, I have been away so long. Just popping my head out the editing room for a moment to say happy Batman Day. Can't wait to share a lot more with you all 4 weeks from today at DC Fandom, which is going to be, like a lot of you wondering about the trailer, October 16th. We are getting a heavy dose of the Batman. So that is when the main stuff will come out. And he says, sorry about the messy desk, hashtag long hours. And we get a glimpse of him editing the Batman with a shot of Robert Pattinson's Batman there in the background using the grapple hook. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm going to say and do. Zoom, enhance. Right, what we see is, you know, there's not really too much to discuss here. One thing we can tell is that he's got his grapple hook. I made a little tweet yesterday, like, imagine if it's like that scene from Batman Earth 1, you know, where he launches it and it just spirals out of control. I wasn't being serious, by the way, because that wouldn't really make too much sense, because this is a Batman who has been active in his vigilante career for 1 year, 6 months. So for him to use this grappling hook and for the mechanism to just kind of fail, that would have already happened like a year or so ago. Do you know what I mean? But what I do like about this is it's just a crumb. It really is just a crumb. There's like little editing notes on the bottom there, something about, you know, making the grapple wobble effect, you know, stand out more, you know, update, try and apply this kind of thing. So, you know, they're very much so in the post-production phase where in this particular shot, Matt Reeves is looking at Bruce, or Batman, should I say, like grapple off, and they're like talking about, oh, how can we make the grapple hook effects look a little bit more what they're kind of aiming for, more or less. And I believe on the top you can see the day, I think, when this scene was filmed. So it says the 21st of the 8th 20, which is, you know, they were shooting back then, I believe, so that you can see the lens information. And yeah, that's all there really is to say. You know, I could talk about the lighting. This could be just him on the rooftop after speaking to Gordon or whoever. Like, I can't speculate about that. I'm not gonna waste time, but I do like the foggy effects, and it is symbolic almost of that kind of foggy, boggy, steamy Gotham rooftop kind of situation. And other than that, I love the look. We know that's Pattinson. I love the cowl. I know not everyone's on board with the cowl, whether that's just they love it from an actual visual imagery kind of standpoint, but maybe not the material kind of thing. But other than that, I think we can all agree the shape, the ears are the perfect length, at least for me. I do keep getting intrigued with the grapple hook. Just on another side note, you can see the actual hook coming out the little grapple gun there. And a lot of us are thinking that the little things he has on his wrist guards are the ammo aspects of the grapple gun. But the thing is, on his armor there, it doesn't look like those ends of the little silver throwing spike-esque things. It's not like it doesn't look like they like expand out into the hook that we see in that gun. Maybe they do, and those just are props, and it doesn't look like they come out when they really do. Just a random little tangent there. I just wanted to point out that the end of the grapple gun obviously is very silver. It's got the hooks as it's meant to hook onto something, and I'm just really wondering if those bits on his wrist are actually used to put the next hook in it, in the gun when he needs to use it. But other than that, a very messy desk indeed, Mr. Reeves. He did apologize for that. Just a little bit of a funny joke here. It's like there's a bunch of what I can imagine as supplements there, and it just made me laugh in a way because it's like, imagine if this man is like trying to take so many supplements so he can just keep grinding out the editing process, because there are so many pills on that desk, which I'm sure are vitamins, vitamin D and stuff and God knows what. And lots of people are pointing out, oh, he's wearing the purple gloves like the Joker or like classic Batman, but you know, don't forget he's also wearing a face mask, and I'm pretty sure he's just, yeah, being extra careful with COVID, making sure that when he's using the keyboard that other people might use, he's just wearing the gloves. There's nothing like meta about that, if you know what I mean. But other than that, this is just a little tease. I was basically expecting something yesterday. I almost wanted to say like I wasn't, but I was thinking the film's done filming now. It's Batman Day. At the very least, even without giving us too much, they could put out a poster, like an official poster that's been rendered and made with Jim Gordon in it. Maybe it would have featured our first look at Alfred, Andy Serkis's Alfred. I was thinking that could be something so easily put together at this point. But, you know, when we were waiting all day yesterday, I was really thinking, okay, what the hell is going on? But lo and behold, we did get this. And then, of course, as I said, unless I'm not including it in this video, I'm not sure. Maybe I've removed it due to copyright. But Michael Giacchino's like recording the actual, you know, orchestra actually recording for the movie. Now, I called it the main theme. I think it is. What I love about this so much, and it is very reminiscent of the costume test reveal where it's like dun, 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 and then towards the end it's like dun, dun, dun. But this one's got like even more presence to it. And what I love so much about this modernized take on a Batman theme, which, you know, I don't want to be that guy who's like hasn't seen the movie but is already calling it definitive. I do vibe a definitive vibe from all of this. Like, in general, I think a lot of you understand where I'm coming from here because we're all such big fans, but there's such an animated series, Mask of the Phantasm kind of vibe, you know, that just kind of like melds into like a modern take, which you would apply to live action, and it's just, it's not too corny, like, it's not too animated, if you know what I mean, but it takes those best notes and themes from that of what we love most about prior Batman themes, and it just propels it into such a myth of a freaking score, if you know what I mean. It really does make that myth of the Bat in his first 1 year, 6 months, if you will, apply, and I can't wait to hear this over the movie. It's just, Oh, chills. Okay, chills. That low, the kind of little drums and percussion at the end, like the low, boom, 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 like the very end bit. It's like, you can imagine if they do a title sequence after a prologue, like when the Batman logo's coming in, like, sorry, at the end of the trailer, that would be like, you know, the peak bit. And then, like, just as we're about to get into the first scene after the prologue, it's those low kind of, like, drum beats. Boom, 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 boom. Like, at basically the very end of the clip that Michael Giacchino posted. You can really get it. I'm sure a lot of you kind of vibe the vision I had there. I'm not saying that's how it's going to go, like, if we do get a title sequence at the beginning, or, like, a prologue, and then the actual title coming into the screen, and then, like, it picks up with a scene with the Riddler, or Bruce, or Alfred, or whatever. But I think that's everything I have to say. Like, obviously, there's not too much to say about that. Things are very much so in the process right now, and I am just dead ass excited. Like, October 16th, I am not even ready. I'm gonna probably try my best to do a reaction just to let everyone know first. Like, last year I didn't do a reaction, I just went straight into the breakdown. This year I think I'm gonna do a reaction, regardless of if it's copyrighted or whatever. Like, I feel like everyone needs to see my reaction. And then, like, for the following hours and the next day, I'm going to go ham into a breakdown. So it might not be the first breakdown out of all the other YouTube channels that you see on the interwebs, but what I will be trying to do is giving you the best breakdown. So I'm going to be analyzing scene for scene for scene for scene for scene, instead of just rushing to do that as of when it first bloody releases. I want to be really on the ball with this one and just deliver such a breakdown video. And then you can bet your ass we'll be doing discussion series videos following the trailer that comes out on October 16th. Speaking of discussion series, I wanted to do a little segment in this video, may as well, because there wasn't too much to talk about with the beginning part. But yeah, let's get into some of the questions that I haven't answered, and there's always a massive backlog of them. So starting off with Elizabeth Molino saying, I have no problem with a PG-13 rating. I mean, A Dark Knight was PG-13, and it's the best superhero film. Once the film gave us the noir and the detective side of Batman, I'm happy. So yeah, I do agree. Like, at one point I was thinking it could lean to go into R-rated territory, but then again, I was always apprehensive because no matter what, when it comes to something as popular as Batman, when you go and choose an R-rated certificate for the film, it means a lot of kids won't get to see it. Like, some parents still may get their kid to see it somehow in some way or whatever, but there's going to be a lot of disapproving people, understandably so, because it's been given a certain rating. But do not forget, as pointed out here by Elizabeth, some of your favorite Batman adaptations that still pertain very dark scenes, the interrogation scene with Heath Ledger's Joker smacking his head up against the freaking glass wall of the interrogation room, and with Bruce just screaming, where are they? You know, and things like that. That can still, that essence of severity will be felt in this movie. Batman vs. Superman's warehouse scene, PG-13. So I think the same thing will be very much so felt here. A lot of you guys love the brutality of the BVS warehouse scene, so that will be felt, and I believe you have got that impression regardless from the DC Fandom last year trailer, where Bruce put 20-something punches into that guy more than he probably needed to. So yeah, don't worry about a gritty, mature edge to it being taken away. That will not happen just because it's not R-rated. R-rated usually means, you know, what we won't get out of this is if Bruce in his drifter persona was going around a few dark areas of Gotham where there might be some nudity and things like that, some clubs where he might have gone in to get some information, you know, like in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. You have some ladies without tops on and stuff like that. That's something that can easily just be put to the side. It doesn't need to be in this movie, but those are the kind of things that sometimes just give it that little bit more of an edge of a rating. And without that, though, we can still have all the stuff that you actually want, which is the vision that Matt Reeves has got to fulfill with a psychological Batman. Now, for once, I think this is the first time I've done this. I've taken a little screenshot of a comment, but the replies to the comment. And, you know, I've thought about this scenario in the trailer 1,000 times, but I don't know if I've always come out with this outlook, so I thought I'd just raise this for everyone's discourse in today's comment section. So, Max47 says, Hi, Boba, thank you for the content. The amount of ideas a small teaser can create is shocking. With all these theories about Riddler knowing Batman's identity, do you think it could make it difficult for the Riddlers to survive in the movie? I'm not saying Batman will kill him or something like that. I'm wondering how the script will make him keep the secret without dying. And I do agree with you. Usually, if somebody knows the identity of the hero, it does normally put the way out for them in the movie to die. So I would say for that kind of reason that I would be more inclined to believe that he actually doesn't know, which is what we're getting into, because I've kind of gone back and forth on that with the whole "you're a part of this too" kind of thing. Now, this is where actually Fat Batman echoes what I just said there. That's what makes me think he doesn't know who Batman is. For me, Riddler knows about the Wayne's corruption, and that is why the line "you're a part of this too" is directed at Bruce and not Batman. And I'm just going to interject there. That's something really super interesting, which is why I took the screenshot of this, is because when I've always pondered that line, I've thought about the conversation with Batman, but I've never thought of a scene in the movie where the Riddler actually might be talking to Bruce Wayne. Like, I always thought, okay, yeah, the Batman and Riddler scenes, but wait, let's just take the suit off Bruce and imagine there's a scene where the Riddler actually gazes the sights of Bruce Wayne, for example, in the cathedral, and he's like, well, this is what we're getting into. However, on the other hand, Riddler wants to use the Batman as part of his lucrative game in dealing with the corrupt politicians and citizens, unknowingly to him that Bruce is obviously Batman. And that wouldn't be a mega surprise as well if, for example, Riddler has a conversation with Bruce Wayne and how he pertains to this, possibly with the Wayne's corruption, but then he's having conversations with Batman at certain points in the movie, not linking the two at all. But they would have to do that very tastefully, because somebody as intelligent as the Riddler, and then when you're putting a mask on someone, I know there's the whole suspend your disbelief situation, like the Superman curl and things like that, and it's obviously Clark Kent, but when you're doing it like this, in this movie, and you're putting two characters possibly speaking to the Riddler at different points, you will need to obviously do that very tastefully as to why the Riddler can't deduce the identity. The thing I mainly wanted to take out of this is, what if the Riddler actually has a conversation with Bruce Wayne? Now, this goes into the next comment I wanted to tie into this from Lucas1512, saying, "Hi Boba, great content as always, thank you man. I'm not sure if you've already talked about it, but I think the final dialogue from the trailer, you're a part of this too, could very well be a conversation between Bruce, not Batman, and the Riddler after he saves the kid at the funeral. Remember the shot in which he has that furious stare? I think that it's possible that everyone runs away except for Bruce, and he tries to help the DA. There's no time to suit up, and it would also be a very Batman thing to do, to just care about saving a life and not about his public persona in a moment like that," which I agree. Lots of people have commented about, why isn't he running away? Why is he blah 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 blah? Answers the call from the Riddler, and then that dialogue happens, which is what I wanted to get to. Like, I didn't ever think about it that way, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but one way to explain that dialogue from the trailer that was, you know, put over that ending scene where the camera's just going into Pattinson's face is probably, as we've always said, from a completely different part of the movie. But yeah, what if, like, Bruce does remain behind at the cathedral, and before going out to get zipped up into his Batman costume, suit, you know, and coming back in to try and save the DA, and as we know in the trailer, doesn't end up so well because a massive blast sends him flying back. What if, in a certain situation, that Bruce, maybe this will make it too obvious though, this is why I don't necessarily think this is it. If Bruce just went up to him, took the phone and said, "What are you doing?" Like, it'd be a bit too on the nose as to, like, who this guy is. But the main takeaway being, it would be really cool if that line of dialogue from the end of the trailer, "You're a part of this too," is if Bruce for some reason does stay behind in Cathedral, maybe Riddler can see him, speaks to him over the kind of speaker or whatever he's using to operate through Gil Coulson there, and he's kind of saying to Bruce, "You're a part of this too," and that would lead into the "How am I a part of this?" and you'll see. And that would be like the takeaway, because, oh, Riddler had a conversation with Bruce, and he knows because Bruce's family, the Waynes, are a part of this, and what this is Riddler's whole problem with Gotham, this hierarchy of corruption that is shitting on people like him. Clearly, he's personally affected somehow, in some way. He says, "I know what I need to become." Apparently, as we've heard from some of the test screenings and stuff, like, apparently the Riddler is kind of annoyed with how the world, it hasn't been loved with too much knowledge and stuff. Maybe he wants to enlighten a lot of people to the corruption, which is why he's taking people out like this. Long story short, I've never considered a scene between Bruce Wayne's public persona and the Riddler, albeit while the Riddler still doesn't know that he's Batman. And do you think that could be possible? Do you think that could be maybe a continuation of the cathedral scene? My only issue with that is Bruce would then run away to come back as Batman, and then it's like, how would Riddler not suss that out? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think somewhere along the way, once again, people might be on the ball of something we haven't discussed before, a conversation between Bruce Wayne and the Riddler, which obviously would lead Riddler, with all of this knowledge about the corruption that Bruce doesn't even know about his family, to say something like, "You're a part of this too," and Bruce is like, "What do you mean, bruh? How?" He doesn't have any knowledge right now. Hopefully that conversation is unveiled through Alfred or something, keeping that secret from Bruce, and it could be a very telltale Batman thing to borrow from, and you guys know what I'm talking about, if you know what I'm talking about with that scene in Telltale Batman. And yeah, that'd be really cool. Just never considered this. Let's move on. Morgie39 says, "Thanks for keeping the hype alive, Boba." Thank you, Morgie, for watching. "I want to see at least one movie without Robin in it." I agree, and I think Batman needs to get his footing a bit bit before Robin comes in. I also think Robin needs to be a teen, so an unknown actor might be the way to go. So for me there, I think Robin will be a part of this trilogy at some point. And my opinion on the perspective with regards to the time between films has changed a little bit. And I'm not saying that I expect 5 years to go by between the movies, but I do expect some kind of time. But I just don't know if they can do too much time, because I do feel like Matt Reeves wants to maintain this linear journey of Bruce Wayne's psychological journey initiating in this film. And I'm not saying the second and the third movie is going to all be about a psychological ego typed Batman story, but it's still going to be this overarching theme, I think, with how it will forge Batman well and truly by the third film. I do think that will happen. He'll be crowned like himself as the Dark Knight and realized himself by the end of the first movie through, you know, this criminological experiment, as Matt Reeves likes to articulate, and how he's not getting the results he wants and whatnot. I feel like he will be by the end of the first movie, but it still needs to be this theme of him perfecting who Batman is by the end of the first 3 movies, and that's why you can't go 15 years into the future, because that'd be a bit ridiculous as well, just through Pattinson not being 15 years older. But either way, I don't know if Robin should be an actual teen, like a literal teen. I do think it's one of those situations where you have a bunch of high schoolers in shows where they're actually, some of them are 29 and they're playing an 18-year-old, 17-year-old. Some of them are actually 22 and they're playing an 18-year-old. Some of them, it's ridiculous. For example, I think on 13 Reasons Why, there was a guy who's 30 years old playing a high schooler. So, I'm not saying they're going to go that eccentric with the age, but what I'm trying to say is, I feel like they're going to cast somebody who could still play a teenager, but really they're like maybe my age, or 22 or something like that, a few years younger. I don't think they're going to actually cast a 16-year-old to play a Robin who does look really, really young. I just don't think Robins translate well from the comics onto screen when you literally have, like, you know, like the way they kind of draw Robin in the animated series or something like that, or even in the comics, they might have a glove and you see his really skinny hand go through the glove that is just out here. Do you know what I mean? It just wouldn't digest correctly with Matt Reeves' world, I think, if you have a child, a literal child, being taken out onto the streets. But for example, Titans, you have Curran Walters and the other actors like Brenton Thwaites, who are obviously much older, but they're playing like a younger Robin. But it's what I was saying, like when they cast older actors to be younger characters. That's the vibe I think they're going to go for. But yeah, as for Robin, I think he will probably still be introduced in the second movie, but to make that third movie more of his prominent role. I don't think it will be set up so much in the first movie. As you said, that needs to be kept for just Mr. Wayne. But everybody, I'm going to end this video there. I know the discussion segment wasn't too long, but that in combination with what we were talking about at the beginning of the video, I didn't want to drag it out for too long. So there will be another The Batman discussion series video in the coming days or week or whatever. So make sure you leave your questions down in the comments below if you want to. I mean, I've got loads to answer already, but always keep sending them in. But if you've been here for a while, try not repeat the same questions. And other than that, if you've got this far in the video, leave the hashtag with whatever comment you're going to put down in the comment section below just to prove you got this far. Hashtag Matt Reeves, the GOAT, because he literally is, to be honest. I mean, I don't think any of us can deny that. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. As always, my links are, if you want to kind of connect with me a bit more, support the channel a bit more, I do have a link in a top pinned comment, which is in the comment section. Literally check the top. That's where you can find my Discord server, Twitter, places like my merch store if you want to pick up a Boba hat or something like that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, spending your time with me here today, and I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you, Bat Family, in the next video. Goodbye.